You're listening to the Play Therapy Parenting Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brenna Hicks, the Kid Counselor. This is the Play Therapy Parenting Podcast, where I give you insight, awareness, and enlightenment about your parenting and your relationship with your kids. In today's episode, we are talking through the limit setting pillar, but the practical application of the use of limit setting in your home with your kids on a daily basis. So we worked through the 4 pillars as just the skill instruction, and now we're working through those same 4 pillars as ways that you can actually implement this as part of your parenting strategy and what it looks like when you're in those moment by moment daily interactions with your kids. So the limit setting skill is the one that combines 3 of the pillars. So this is the tricky one because you use reflecting feelings, limit setting, and choice giving all in one, which is why it takes a little bit of extra consideration and practice. So we're going to spend some time talking through how we can use limit setting at home and why it benefits us as part of our strategy in making sure that we preserve the relationship while still addressing disciplinary issues with our kids. So we're going to talk through how to proactively address struggles using the limit setting process. We will talk through getting our child's attention when we need to make sure that we are clearly communicating a new limit, and the importance of consistency and follow through once limits have been set. So we'll kind of unpack those 3 things together today. The path to calm, confident, and in control parenting starts now. All right. So when we're talking through addressing struggles, when you raise kids, although kids are ever changing and ever evolving, and every time you think you have a handle on their behavior or their phase or, whatever they're going through at that particular moment, you just kind of feel like, okay, good, we're finally, sorting this out. Then they get rid of that issue and then a new one emerges. So the only thing that changes is that, we can't ever count on what we thought we could count on. But however, we do get to recognize patterns in our kids' behaviors. We do get to a point where we can predict where we're going to have struggles. So are the struggles typically around bedtime? Are the struggles around eating? Are the struggles around sibling tension? Are the struggles around disobedience? We can get to a point where we know this child is likely to have issues either at this time or around this issue. So once we've determined that, we can use limit setting to proactively address those struggles. You're essentially using limit setting as a proactive approach, and you're setting and structuring the environment and the expectations so that the child is most likely to be able to comply with the limit. So let me throw out a scenario. Every single day, child comes home from school starving, and every single day they go and raid the pantry and they end up eating a whole bunch of junk food. And you've asked them over and over and over again not to eat junk food, not to eat unhealthy snacks. And it becomes a daily battle when you see the Oreo cookie wrappers and the ice cream container and the cookies and whatever else that have been consumed, because they were starving on junk food. In that scenario, you can use limit setting proactively. So not only do you structure the environment for success, meaning you get rid of all the junky food in your pantry. Not to say you can't have that food in the house, but it is no longer accessible in the pantry. So you have to structure the environments for success, right? So you're not going to have those type of snacks available where your children can access them, reach them, consume them. That means maybe you put them in the cabinet above the refrigerator, or you put them in a fireproof locked box. I don't know, hide it under your bed, whatever you want to do. It's not that the snacks can't be in the house, but children can't have access to them whenever they want and for whatever reason they want. Once you establish that, you make sure that you have healthy snack options that your kids like. This falls apart if you pick healthy options that they hate. They love ice cream. They love Oreos. They love chocolate chip cookies. They love salt and vinegar potato chips. Maybe that's just me. Do kids really like salt and vinegar? I don't know. They like Pringles, whatever, Cheetos. I don't know. junky kid chips. All right. So they love those things. They're probably not going to like your Nutri-Grain bars. All right. But you can come up with healthy alternatives that they do like. They might love fruit. They might love all natural popsicles. They might love chocolate chip protein bars. Okay. So you have to structure this so that not only can they not have junk food, but they have healthy alternatives that they actually like. So now you've proactively set the stage, right? So then they get home from school, they immediately run to the pantry, and you say, Johnny, you really are hungry right now and you are looking for a snack. But after school, it's appropriate to eat healthy snacks, not junk food. So notice that we've reflected the feeling, acknowledged the desire, and we've set a neutral limit. Junk food is not for eating after school. Healthy food is for eating after school. Okay, so there's our neutral limit. Then we provide the alternatives as a choice. I bought chocolate chip protein bars, I bought fruit popsicles, and I bought strawberries. Do you choose strawberries, popsicles, or protein bars? And now all of a sudden, the limit has been set, the healthy alternatives have been provided, and the child has a measure of control over the outcome. And you proactively addressed what normally becomes a huge fight. Notice that you're not mad that they consumed half a carton of ice cream. You're not mad that they went through 17 Oreo cookies. You have given them options. They're choosing what they would rather eat, and it's healthy, so it complies with the expectation, but it's also something the child will appreciate. So that is how we proactively address struggles using the limit setting method. Secondly, when we are about to set a new limit, when we're about to make a new expectation in the home clear to our kids, it's really important that we make sure that they're paying attention. So you can use whatever phrase you would like. You can say, ET phone home, this is an important phone call. I don't care what you say, but you have whatever you decide, it needs to be something that is recognizable, repeatable, and you've said it every single time you're about to change a new policy in the house, so that when you say it, your kids go, oh boy, I better listen and pay attention. This is important. So in the parenting program that we coach, the phrase that they have used is, we're about to institute a new and significant policies within the confines of this household. All right, big words, right? And the premise is big words get your kids' attention. So you can say whatever you want as the phrase, but it needs to be very clear to your children what follows that phrase is going to significantly impact my life. I need to make sure that I'm paying attention and understanding what's being said. For us, I don't really use a phrase, but when I use my son's first and last name, related aside, I have never used his middle name when he's in trouble. My parents did not do that to me. I was never Brenna Michelle when I was in trouble, ever. And I actually think the whole premise of that is crazy. Unless you want your child to hate their middle name, which why would you have chosen a middle name for them that you want them to hate? So I don't think that can possibly be anyone's intention. I love the name Brenna Michelle because it was never said when I'm in trouble. It was never said as a threat. It was never said in anger. So the whole premise of using the first and middle name when a kid's in trouble, I really think it really just conditions them to hate their middle name. So anyway, I digress, but I'm back on track. So I've never said Kane Erickson to my son when he's in trouble because I don't want him to hate his middle name. It means son of Eric, and that's something special in our family. So, however, I say Kane Hicks. Now notice that I don't go Kane Hicks because then he hates his name, right? But if I say Kane Hicks, in that tone, I don't have to raise my voice. I don't have to have an attitude. It doesn't have to have any threatening posture or tone or aura to it whatsoever. But if I say Kane Hicks, he immediately looks at me, he makes eye contact with me, and he knows what I'm about to say means something. So you can come up with anything you want, but it needs to become a very recognizable and repeatable cue that when that comes out of your mouth, your kids stop and go, whoo, I better pay attention. Okay? So that's another practical tip for when you're about to set a limit. Because if I need to set a limit on, what the schedule is going to be for the day, right? So it's a Saturday and our son wants to just hang out all day, but we have to leave at 3:30 and he has to get 4 things done before we leave at 3:30. I say, in the morning, Kane Hicks. And he looks at me and then I say, okay, we're leaving at 3:30. If you choose to have A, B, C, and D done by 3:30 when it's time to go, you choose to be able to hang out with your friends when we get home. If you choose for it to hit 3:30 and you've chosen not to do A, B, C, and D, you choose not to hang out with your friends. And now it's very clear. He knows what I meant. He knows that it was important. And then at 3:30, we assess if A, B, C, and D have been completed or not. So you have to get your kids' attention so they know what is coming. And then finally, consistent follow through. If you set a limit one day and then the next day you don't, your limits mean nothing. If you set a limit one day and you don't enforce the consequence of the choice that they made, your limits mean nothing. This only works if you follow through. This only works if you are consistent. Which is why we have those 3 questions that we ask ourselves, right? So is this limit necessary? That's a really helpful place to start. And then, can I consistently enforce this limit is the second question. You can't be in the mall and say to your kid, if you do that again, we're going home immediately, when you have 7 more stores to go to. Are you actually going to leave the mall and not do the 7 stores worth of shopping that you went there for if your child does that again? So, is that enforceable? You also can't say, if you do that again, you're grounded for the rest of your life. Well, that's also not consistently enforceable. And notice that both of those were threats. But that's typically how we talk to our kids. If you, then, if you, I will. Child learns nothing about self-responsibility and self-control and self-regulation when we threaten them. We have to give them choices as part of a limit. If you choose A, you choose B. If you choose C, you choose D. Which do you choose? It's very important that those are choices, that they're not threats. But we have to be able to consistently enforce them and follow through. If we say, if you choose to do that one more time, you choose to go to bed as soon as we get home, and you get home at 4:30 p.m., you can't follow through with that. So you have to be intentional about what you offer as a limit and what you offer as choices, because you have to be able to enforce and follow through, or it loses all credibility. So whatever your struggle is, whether it's bedtime, whether it's eating, whether it's homework, whether it's the morning routine, whether it's sibling fighting, whether it's whatever, limit setting is your go-to pillar, because you preserve the relationship, you return responsibility, you give them a measure of control, and all the while, all you're doing is enforcing the choices that they make. You acknowledge how they're feeling, you set the neutral limit, and then they choose the outcome. It's far less overwhelming and complicated as we make it, because we tend to think of discipline as the hardest thing that we do with our kids. But limit setting is actually the process of giving them freedom to choose their outcomes. And that takes a lot of burden off of us. So I hope that you find that helpful. I hope that you're able to implement limit setting this week and practice it and actually kind of hone that skill. If you have questions, if you have follow-up, I'd love to hear from you, Brenna at thekidcounselor.com. I'd be happy to respond to you if you shoot me an email. If you have a question for the podcast, I would love to hear from you as well. So go ahead and shoot me an email. You can also call 813-812-5525. Leave me a message and I can answer your question from the voicemail as well. Go to playtherapyparenting.com and you can sign up for my newsletter. I'll send you a workshop that I did and all kinds of good stuff. I promise I won't bombard your email inbox, but I do want to stay in touch with you. So really grateful for you. Keep investing in your kids. Keep putting forth the effort. It is worth it. The days are long, but the years are fast. So this is worthwhile. This is worth doing. And that's why you listen and that's why you're here. So I'm super grateful for you. Thanks so much for spending time with me this week. We'll talk again soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Play Therapy Parenting Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks. For more episodes and to subscribe to our newsletter, please go to www.playtherapyparenting.com.